Yes, you read that title correctly. Vegan diets are one of the worst diets for athletes, and I'll explain why in this video. Hi, my name is Tim DeLeo. I'm a licensed sport dietitian, and this is my channel, Sport Nutrition Academy. Welcome if you are new. My goal with this channel is to provide the best quality sport nutrition information to athletes everywhere. I work with a lot of high-level collegiate and professional athletes, and it's my true belief that vegan diets are one of the worst diets, especially for my college athletes. Reason number one is that it's really hard to get enough protein following a vegan diet. Yes, your plant foods, your nuts, seeds, tofu, tempeh, beans, these things do provide protein, but you have to eat large quantities of them to actually get the amount of protein that these athletes need in order to recover from workouts and hard practices. A lot of these proteins also have high fiber content, so something like beans, a lot of fiber. So when you eat these high fiber foods to get your protein, that can result in some stomach discomfort, gassiness, bloating, which is not great if you're an athlete who's training really hard and don't want your stomach feeling that way. Plant-based proteins are also not optimal in terms of the type of amino acids or building blocks they contain compared to your animal-based proteins, which means that you have to eat a lot more of them to get the same kind of bang for your buck that you would eating animal-based proteins. I cannot tell you how many athletes I've worked with following a vegan lifestyle who come into college that freshman year and end up losing a lot of muscle mass and weight because they're unable to keep up with the total calories and amount of protein that they need to recover from these workouts. So if we're losing muscle, we're losing weight, that is not an optimal situation for athletic performance. The second reason is that vegan diets inherently set athletes up for vitamin deficiencies. Things like iron, B12, zinc. These are micronutrients, vitamins and minerals that are really prominent in animal-based foods, but not so much in plant-based foods. Plant-based foods might contain some of these things, but they're also going to be a little bit more difficult for your body to absorb and utilize for their given purposes. And because many vegans come into college self-prescribing a vegan diet for themselves, meaning they're not working with a licensed nutrition professional to, appropriately plan this vegan diet to ensure that they're not having any deficiencies, they end up coming in with a lot of nutrition deficiencies. Like I said, specifically with iron. So iron deficiency anemia, going to be an issue for endurance. B12, which you can really only find in animal-based foods, that's going to make the athlete have a hard time utilizing energy from food for performance on the field. So again, we want to try to avoid a vegan-based diet for that reason. The third reason is that the dining halls at most colleges and universities are not well equipped to handle the nutritional needs of vegan athletes. I've worked at a lot of different universities, and for the most part at their meals, they're only offering one, maybe two types of vegan protein options. Typically, it's a rotating option between a tofu or a tempeh. They usually don't have any nuts because a lot of students have nut allergies, so most dining halls are nut-free. Sometimes they'll have beans on the salad bar, but it's usually not a main component of an entree type item. So in terms of vegan proteins, it is very limiting and hard to get the amount of protein that you're going to need if you're eating in the dining hall. And most colleges and universities require student athletes to have a meal plan for at least the first 1 to 2 years. So until you can transition off campus and have a little bit more control over what you're eating, it's just not going to be an optimal environment going to the dining hall every day and trying to find high calorie options to support your training and high protein vegan options to help your body and muscles repair. And the last reason is that college athletes travel a lot for their given sport. And finding vegan options on the road can be very, very challenging, which means that oftentimes you're eating the same thing at hotels, or your meals after games are just not going to be appropriate nutritionally for what you need to recover after games. I mean, think about this. Let's say your team goes to a pizza shop and is getting post-game food. Like as a vegan, what are you going to eat from a pizza shop? You can't eat pizza. You're not going to have any sandwiches because they have meat on them. Chicken tenders, nope. Ultimately you can have bread and vegetables. So really limited in terms of what you're actually going to be able to eat to refuel and recover your body from the game. And then depending on where your team is traveling to, like not every team is traveling to, a big city or urban area where there's a lot of different restaurants to choose from. So maybe there happens to be a location nearby where you can get a good vegan option. Sometimes you're going to Omaha, Nebraska, or the middle of nowhere where there's one or two restaurant options and they're just not going to have anything that's vegan. So you end up eating, just pasta or getting a salad after a game because those are the only options that you can get. So it really is setting yourself up for failure because, we're not able to get the adequate nutrition that you need before or after a game. I work with a lot of athletes who do come into college as vegans. I can tell you that, more times than not, that first year in the fall, the first semester, they end up losing a lot of weight. They lose a lot of muscle mass because they're unable to actually, eat appropriately on campus. They're unable to eat appropriately for the demand of their sport when they travel on the road. So it just ends up being like a perfect storm for, poor health, suboptimal performance, and even potential increased injury risk over the course of that first semester. So my recommendation would be to be a little bit more flexible and maybe go to a more vegetarian model where we can incorporate some animal-based proteins that will really open up the variety in terms of foods that we can eat, ease of access of foods, ease of ability of getting in adequate protein, because now we can incorporate things like eggs, we can incorporate things like dairy, so your milks and Greek yogurt, which are high protein foods, possibly incorporate some fish, which is going to make it a lot easier to eat when you're traveling on the road. So these things would make life much easier for you. They're going to make sure that all those micronutrient deficiencies are taken care of. They're going to make sure that you can get optimal protein intake as well. You can get all those foods for the most part in the dining halls. So it's really a win-win in terms of your health and your performance. That said, if you're really adamant about following a vegan lifestyle, then please, please, please work with a licensed sport dietitian who can help you navigate these different challenges and make sure that your meals are planned and are appropriate for the amount of calories, protein, micronutrition that you're going to need in order to perform well and stay healthy. So if you like this video, you learned anything, please like, subscribe so we can get great sport nutrition information out to even more athletes. Thanks.